National Park Service Arrowhead logo, Glacier National Park. Brad Einstein and Kyle Niemer, Artist in Residence presentation. Tree Huggers Comedy logo, in front of an image of Avalanche Lake. Brad Einstein and Kyle Niemer sit in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass. Brad and Kyle introduce each other, pointing at one another respectively. Hey there, Public Lands Day!
Happy Public Lands Day!
Hello, this is Kyle Niemer.
This is Brad Einstein.
And we are
the 2021 June Glacier Artist in Residence.
Yup, we nailed that.
I think we nailed it. No second takes. Done.
Yes.
I think we're done.
So, an interesting thing about Kyle and I is we were master watercolorists, probably for our first 40 years.
World-renowned.
Yes.
I mean, the Sorbonne, the Louvre, all throughout Europe and Asia. Well-renowned.
Various iterations of La Sorbonne and the Louvre. They would move to Europe, different parts of Europe and Asia. Anyway, we were watercolorists, and we thought, hey, what if we stopped doing watercolor?
Yeah, just 180-degree turn.
And just did comedy puppet bits in the woods.
Just go headlong into puppets.
Yeah, we thought we would sell out and be really, financially lucrative.
Yeah, there's a lot of money.
Make the money.
In the puppets.
Mm-hmm. So much money.
Mm-hmm.
Brad successfully slaps a mosquito on his hand. Yeah. Anyway, we are covered in bugs here in Logan Pass to tell you a little bit more about what we do and how we do it, and show you some of the stuff that we made during our time here.
We are, as we described, filmmakers and comedians, and we make comedic nature documentaries that can be best described as a little bit of John Muir and a little bit of John Oliver. Ooh, I know.
And then maybe throw some Muppets in there. Maybe a little Muppets in there, maybe a dash of song or two. By which we mean puppets, because puppets aren't trademarked. Brad doffs his cap as if in a toast to the ghost of Jim Henson.
That is true.
That is true.
That is true.
Yeah, we have songs, we have sketch, we have interviews with so many fantastic members of the Glacier community.
It truly has been a pleasure to be here this month, and we cannot thank Glacier National Park enough for putting up with all of our wild antics and all of the civilians that saw so many good free puppet shows.
Yep. You're welcome, civilians.
So here's a little taste of some of the live shows that we've done while we were here, and as well as some of the footage that we've captured.
Yeah.
We're so excited to be part of Public Lands Day, and thank you so much.
Thanks. We cut to a recording of an outdoor live presentation where Brad and Kyle are performing in front of a menagerie of puppets, some guitar cases, amplification devices, and wires of a bunch of different sorts. Kyle is speaking into a lav mic, and Brad is speaking into a standing mic while playing the guitar. They both start to sing.
Let's give this a shot. Said welcome one and all to our lands national parks.
But don't stay out too late or bears will eat you in the dark.
There's rivers, canyons, forests, and mountains majesty.
All the way from Moldacadia down to Yosemite.
You know, it's actually closer to the Virgin Islands to Guam.
Great fact. Where are we going today, Brad?
Glacier!
There's Polebridge and Two Medicine and Apgar and St. Mary's.
But the swiftness of the many glaciers melting is quite scary.
The glaciers are amazing. Everyone come see them fast.
Assuming that you brought your going to the Sunroad Pass. And if not, you're shoot out of luck. What's up, kid? I just saw you. Thank goodness.
We cut to a rough draft montage of the same song, albeit a different verse. Brad is singing directly to camera as two National Park Ranger puppets rhythmically sway on either side of him. So come and say hello to our kind and smart park ranger. A Clark's Nutcracker puppet sings to the camera as Brad marches dramatically away from him in the background. They'll show you where to go and they will keep you out of danger. But the two previously seen park ranger puppets sing directly to the camera in front of an open sky. Listen to their warnings even when you would not rather. A billy goat puppet sings directly to camera before moving out of the way to reveal a dead pica puppet who sings directly to camera before being pulled away on a cot by Brad.
Because if you don't, they'll have to gather your cadaver.
We cut back to the live outdoor presentation. Brad is speaking into a mic.
We decided to shoot a funeral for a glacier. We're going to have to cut a couple of jokes because it's a very sparsely attended set. We have someone in a giant glacier hat, like holding a baby that's just a bag of ice cubes, like being the relatives in the audience. But right now, I'm hopefully going to remember this. This is at least the beginning of our funeral for the glacier.
Brad begins to recite a eulogy for the glaciers of Glacier National Park. We cut to a rough cut of the eulogy, set in the Fish Creek Amphitheater.
Friends, family, flora, fauna.
Brad stands in front of a sparsely populated crowd. In the amphitheater seating, we see humans, puppets, and forest spirits and or swamp things, which are actually just people in ghillie suits.
Forest spirits and or swamp things.
Brad continues his eulogy.
We gather together not just to mourn a kind of, sort of, not quite death, but to celebrate a kind of, sort of, not quite life. I'm speaking, of course, of the non-living, life-giving, frozen fountain at the top of the mountain, sugar, spice, and everything ice, the go-go snowflow at 2 below that gives the rivers its quivery shivers, the glaciers of Glacier National Park. We're lucky enough to have some family members in the audience. Thank you.
Brad gestures to a glacier's family member. We cut to an individual in the crowd, which is just a human being wearing a giant papier-mâché glacier head hiding their entire face. The individual is slowly bouncing a bag of ice in their arms as if it were a baby and gives a conciliatory wave towards Brad.
So much for coming. I know it was a long way from the mountaintop and or commercial freezer.
Brad continues the eulogy.
But thank you one and all for being here. It would mean actually not very much to the glaciers because they were mercifully spared from the burden of sentience. Glaciers have shaped each and every one of us, from the towering mountains to the wide-reaching watersheds, to the bipedal meat sacks that bumbled their way into conquering the planet. Every one of us here today has been shaped in some way by the funky freshwater stylings of these glaciers.
Brad continues to objectively kill it. Like, we know that this is like for ADA compliancy, but it's really important for everyone to know. He's killing it. It's also important for everyone to know I'm him. You know this.
The service here today will be very similar to the glacier's process of dying. It might seem like it's taking like a really long time, but it's actually quite swift, like shockingly swift. Like if you reframed your concept of time, you would probably be terrified. So think about that if you get bored. Today we will be hearing from a number of speakers whose lives are intimately entwined with, or at the very least, vaguely related to, the glaciers of Glacier National Park. So without further ado, let us begin.
We cut to a blue-skinned puppet named Triodor Roosevelt in front of the Jackson Glacier overlook. He speaks directly to camera.
Unfortunately, Glacier National Park is losing its namesake. When the park was founded in 1910, there were over 100 glaciers. Now, the park is home to only 26. Behind me, one such glacier, Jackson Glacier. If you listen carefully, you can hear it receding.
We do a slow fade out from the blue-skinned puppet to the glacier-headed individual, now seated in an alpine meadow, playing a resonator guitar. We slowly push in as the mountain-headed individual sings a very slow joke at the pace of the glaciers themselves. Well, not really, but like metaphorically, you kind of get the vibe. It's art.
It's hot in here.
We see a close-up of the glacier head. You may wonder, is that made of styrofoam? Isn't that like kind of antithetical to the environmental message that you're trying to make? And the answer is yes. And you may then ask, can they sleep at night knowing how antithetical it is? And the answer is no. We zoom back out from the glacier-headed individual as they continue to play a resonator guitar in front of a really pretty mountain. It's a very pretty snowy mountain in an alpine meadow.
It's just me. And yeah, that's it.
We cut back to Brad and Kyle once again sitting in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass. They are speaking directly to the camera about their process or what moves them or something highfalutin and egotistical. I don't know. Let's find out.
So a lot of people say, hey, why do you work with puppets? Is doing comedy in the woods not hard and alienating enough as it is?
No, let's throw some felt creatures in there that we have to bring to life.
But Kyle brings up an excellent point. They are creatures, and while it can be difficult,
Brad indicates the rotator cuff he no longer has.
and rotator cuff destroying to work with puppets, they are quite a bit easier to capture.
Kyle wipes a bug away from his eye as if it were a tear, and he was a strong yet wounded female protagonist in a Tennessee Williams play.
Then live animals. We would love to capture live animals, but sometimes it can take months and months and months to just get a few clips to tell the story that you want to tell.
It's also very engaging and captivating to allow the puppet to speak for the animal themselves. It allows for the science and education to be brought forward in kind of a new and interesting way that allows these animals to kind of speak for themselves and to have their own opinions.
That's true. You're new and interesting.
Brad smacks Kyle's arm as he compliments him.
Kyle.
Oh my God,
You're
thank you.
very interesting.
New and
I think you're very interesting. I love working with you, even after a month.
Brad and Kyle's joint charisma is palpable. It's not actually like an action happening on screen, but like you can feel the back and forth. It's just wow.
Can you say the same? You don't have to answer, because I don't want to know what the answer is.
Kyle's eyes bug out in the kind of blink if you need help sort of way. Like he's not blinking, but he does need help, you know? Like that's how he's bugging his eyes out.
Puppets.
So,
It's a pleasure to work with you two, Bradley
no,
J.
I love you very much. That is very true, because so many nature documentaries you will see is like a third person, David Attenborough, big shout out.
Brad and Kyle do cartoonish impressions of Sir David Attenborough, someone they greatly admire.
It's like, oh, we observe this thing, this thing, this thing.
Observations
Observation.
and information.
Observation.
Storylines.
And it's still, by having the person talk about it, it still kind of centers this story as like a human story that is a human telling you the story.
But you have an animal, a puppet in the mix.
Yep.
They all of a sudden can take control of that narrative and give information and education in new and interesting ways that kind of feel fresh and lively, almost like that we're giving a voice to these places.
Yeah.
That are inherently voiceless.
We cut to a close-up of Kyle, still sitting in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass.
I think that these creative works are very interesting and captivating, especially in a time like this. I feel like there's such a turning of the tide in our world right now, and to be able to come to these wild open places and truly soak them in and to try to give back in a way. I mean, the best case scenario and my hope for this project is that it opens some people's eyes, it makes them learn something new, maybe take something away, and then at the best case probably, want to take some action themselves, even maybe come and see this place and want to protect it for themselves.
Absolutely. And I also feel like we cut back to the two-shot of Brad and Kyle sitting in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass.
I appreciate in the work that we do together is using the tools of irreverence in service to reverence.
We cut to a close-up of Brad talking in front of the mountain vista at Logan Pass.
Because I feel like everybody remembers that time when you were a kid where you cared about the rainforest, where you cared about the environment, where it was a really big deal, and then life got in the way, and you became callous and savvy and, too smart for your own good. And sometimes using that language to be like, cool, yeah, we get it, we're callous as well. Cool. Now what, though? Because this stuff's still here, and this stuff is still important.
We cut back to the two-shot of Brad and Kyle sitting in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass.
And I would argue, use your callous savviness to come and find new ways to push forward these ideals. It only takes a little bit, and I think that our comedic laughter, if nothing else, bringing so much laughter to the mountains for the last 30 days, I think hopefully we could bring a little bit laughter and joy into other people's lives and make them think that our predicament isn't so hopeless.
Yeah.
If you can laugh about it, you can change it.
That is a really, dude. I love that. And touching one last thing on that too was we were so grateful that Glacier National Park considered our work art, because so often it is musicians or painters, and
we cut to a close-up of Brad in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass. He speaks to the camera. Bugs swarm around his face as though he were a 2-day-old corpse. It's pretty wild. He keeps speaking, nonetheless.
We're so grateful that they understood and appreciated comedy as an art form and our work as an art form, because the wilderness echoes so much of our own spirits. Its spirit is so untamable, and yet when we match its magnitude with our own spirits, it's amazing what can come out of that. And even when it's ludicrous, like the work we do, it's beautiful.
We cut back to Brad and Kyle sitting in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass, speaking to the camera.
And I hope that our work encourages you to wander deeper into the forest and see what manifests.
There's so much amazement out there, even in your own backyard.
Yeah.
And if you just take a little bit of time and breathe deep, these places are amazing and you should come see them. But there are amazing places everywhere, in your own backyard, in your own states. And I hope that if nothing else, this art can push you forward to really being excited about public lands and going out and seeing them for yourselves.
We cut back to a close-up of Brad speaking directly to the camera.
Also, if you're a congressperson watching this, give the MPS more money.
Yeah.
We cut to Kyle, also at Logan Pass in front of the vista. Close-up of him speaking directly to the camera.
If you have money, give it to the MPS, because it's not that much.
Do you know what
Is there a billionaire in there?
Yeah.
We cut back to the two-shot of Brad and Kyle speaking in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass. They both get up, moving closer and closer to speak directly into the camera, to the point that they are no longer in focus.
Yeah, is there a billionaire?
Can we get? Just maybe.
You know what
just like a scope.
That would be terrific. You know what I've never used once? An F-35 jet that never worked.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe give the MPS some money.
We cut back to the two-shot of Brad and Kyle sitting in front of a mountain vista at Logan Pass. They pose with their hands on their knees, backs leaning up against each other.
In conclusion,
In conclusion,
Brad doffs his cap to both the audience and the ghost of Jim Henson.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. I hope you've enjoyed the art that you've seen and the work that we've got to do here. It has been our pleasure. Thank you so much, Glacier National Park, for
It
having
has been our
us.
honor and our pleasure
And privilege.
and privilege.
joy.
It's been our white privilege.
Oh, dear.
Oh, boy.
And now, a walk-off.
Brad and Kyle walk off synchronistically. National Park Service Arrowhead logo, Glacier National Park.